After the assault on Antigen's prison, Archons were called in to deal with the beast unleashed by Nemesis. The beast docked for 3 nights, heading towards Victor's Haven, before it was stopped by the Archons, who was never heard from again. Rumors say that Justicar Craven killed all of them, and some people just say they died in the battle. Months after the incident, the Kindred of London began walking the night again. We turn towards Alex's Haven, Paradisa. Nobody kicks him out of his own home. He's still there. The previous night you watched your own funeral on tape, courtesy of Henry. A plethora of loyal fans showed up in complete denial of Alex's terrorist activities. That couldn't possibly be true. And websites about conspiracies about the whole thing has been created in a lot of forums. Alex, you are in your most pleasant place. You're currently looking at a painting you have wanted for a long time. A gift from Archon Moriarty, the Dark Mother, with Kane also in the picture.
Nice.
Finally have it.
Yes, I have wanted that for a long time. Glad it finally got here. Yes, he's very pleased with that. That takes us all the way back to like
episode
the beginning.
6 or something.
Yeah, it was a while ago. That we're going way back. That's a callback right there.
You know that your sheriff and Warlock and Henry and Nera are on their way, because you have several things you want to discuss with them as a group or individually.
Right.
But they enter through the elevator after a while, all quiet, contemplating and trying to figure out what this meeting is about, since you have not called the entire council.
Indeed. He's dressed kind of like you see me. He's always kind of walked that line, the rock star fashion of like, casual underneath the more formal and everything like that. I've called you here, you all specifically, for the purposes of securing the foreseeable future in London, securing the loyalty and awareness of my role and practice and things going on in the shadows, behind the scenes. It's clear in the aftermath of it to me that we have what mortals might call leaks in our system. Leaks among the council, leaks among the court, things like that. Otherwise, Antigen would have never been able to pull off what they've done. And with your help, and for the security of the city, we are going to pursue and prosecute those leaks in a reasonable fashion, and make sure that our knowledge of goings on is increased. And so it's to this end that I have called you all here, because I know and have taken measures to ensure that I can trust each one of you wholeheartedly, implicitly, without question.
Darius says, "Thy will be done, Prince."
Thank you. He says this will involve, and he's going to look specifically to Darius and Victor and Henry. This will involve, of course, thorough interrogation of each member of our court and the city's what we shall call my Camarilla. And he's going to look to Nira because obviously the rules are a little different here. This Camarilla will not look like the other larger organization. We've appeased them insofar as we will, and we are going to move forward into shaping this city into a domain of that resembles a rule that I can respect and appreciate and embody. So to that end, we will be proceeding with making London a haven for those like us. And he's going to look towards Nira. And those who would seek the security and, shall we say, a structure that very much resembles the Camarilla of old, without it being as such. But again, in order to protect and secure these borders, every single person will uphold the traditions of presenting themselves to me if they want to find a place in my London. They will present themselves to me in terms of siring, their progeny. All of those traditions will be upheld for the sake of making sure that the shenanigans, he's going to use that word, of the past months, the past several months, do not occur again. To make sure that the problems that we have worked so tirelessly to put down and to pacify will not arise again, at least not without our knowledge. These rules, these traditions that I set forth will only apply within our domains. I've left Gabriel for now, his little part of the city, deliberately, because Gabriel is, for the most part, the one particular kindred in this city that I don't really care what he does at this point, provided it doesn't encroach or cause problems on my domains in this city. Keep an eye on him. And he's going to look towards Henry. Keep a weather eye on him. And
speaking of keeping an eye,
yeah,
I found Ishak Khan, the leader of Antigen, and managed to get a little fly on the wall. They are relocating the prison.
Of course they are.
I do not know where yet, but I have something on the inside now. Very close to Ishak.
That's what we want. Exactly. I want someone very close to everyone in my city. And he makes that very clear. He's not blinking. He's staring them down. Everyone will have the eyes of the prince upon them. Victus. We are done. We are past. We are past not knowing all that we can from all who reside within our territory. In exchange, they shall have the security and protection that we can provide. As such, Henry, as you probably have already informed Arthur and others, the Nosferatu will be given increasing amounts of resources to perform their duties and hobbies effectively.
I'm sure Arthur will be delighted to hear that.
Yes. You will be given the resources that you need to monitor and surveil the city's kindred and mortals as the need arises.
As you're talking, Darius, he very fast. He finds a little box, a very old school leather box used for small bottles. He opens it in front of you. There's about 16 of them. He says, these will help in the debrief of everyone. They won't be able to lie to you. And of course I'll be there to make sure that it's working.
Thank you. I appreciate that, Darius. And he's going to turn to Victor. I fully expect you to cooperate with our sheriff, given your special place here.
Of course, Prince. If we are in doubt, I'll have a look in their head.
I'm not relying just on the Nosferatu. Blood sorcery will be central to ensuring loyalty and tracking movements of every kindred in this city.
I am working on a shrine orb for you, Prince.
Thank you.
You should practice this yourself as well.
Yes. Thank you. I appreciate that, and I certainly will. That is my intention. I've entered into agreements with a particular friend of ours, and he's going to look towards Nira for the sake of...
She just nods and says,
Yeah.
He has said yes.
Yes. Excellent. I appreciate all of you and the functions you are going to serve in the days to come. Of course, I will be present at each one of these interventions, as it were. We will ensure that the way they happen will not be the way it's remembered, so that everything may proceed as it always has, and that only the essential details stay with those who participate in such interventions. Should they find it in their hearts to reject or resist our proposals and requirements, then they will be at risk of an unfortunate series of events resulting in a blood hunt.
Darius says there will be no resistance, Prince. I can
Excellent.
ensure that.
That's what I want to hear. But you never know. Some people are just a little challenging. And that shall be the going rule for anybody who wants to reside within our city. Everyone shall be questioned. Everyone shall be interrogated. Everyone shall be watched to ensure peace and security.
Victor says, he's kind of looking at his nails. Just as a side note, Victor has been different since he came back. He is way more detached. He's never blushed. He's still of the same mind. He acts like himself, but his ability to care about things have greatly lessened. Only a person of with your skill in insight would be able to see this, and only a person who knew Victor now and before would be able to see that. But his something definitely happened.
Yeah.
And well, he's looking at his fingers as he's contemplating something, and saying, "I have a request, Prince." Completely
Please,
out of
Victor.
topic. First, I want to ask, before I proceed, do we involve anyone of the council in this? Any other than who is here? The debrief, the surveillance, or do we?
Only as necessary. I think everyone here is capable of carrying out what I ask. I'm a big fan of compartmentalization. And if everybody knew, then everybody would know. And we can't have that. Given his status, Arthur knows. I've already briefed him about it.
Well, we're of the same mind then. I think we should keep the circle as small as possible for it to be effective.
Indeed.
To my
The
request.
point of this is to make things go and appear as normal and unchanged as we can. I want that clear. I want everyone to believe, and I mean deep, which I will help with, that everything is as it was, except for a few important details that everyone will somehow wake up knowing and implicitly following. That's, as far as everybody is concerned, these interventions will be small formalities, talks about usual day-to-day topics.
Debriefs.
Indeed. Debriefs, things like that.
My request.
Do you wish to say it in front of the group here?
Yes, very much so. I have never asked for anything, Prince.
You have not.
I have.
You've served loyally.
And I will continue to do so, but I'm afraid I must ask something of you. I found a prime specimen that I would like to sire and make your herald. Of course, this training will take years, but he is an extraordinary human being. And we need more Tremiers. And you need a new herald.
Introduce this individual to me.
I haven't.
Let's set up a meeting for that, and then I'm sure that we will proceed with the understanding that the traditions provide, that any mistakes or, of course, indiscretions that the progeny commits will be.
Oh, don't worry, he'll be locked away for the first year.
You are familiar with this, of course. I know. I'm just going over the basics and making sure we continue to have an understanding, because, as you say, Victor, it's been a long time. You haven't asked for anything. It's already clear to me that you place a high value on this future child of yours, and I know how that is. I want you to understand that I support you 100%, and I just want to be clear on what's expected. That's all, which I have no doubt that you will. You understand.
I thank you, Prince, for granting me permission for the embrace. And I will.
You're welcome.
Train him, and when I feel he's ready to meet you and learn how to become your voice, it will probably take years though, but I'll keep him locked up for a good year before he interacts with any other kindred, so I can make sure his indoctrination into our society is without hindrances.
That's right.
And outside influences.
That's right. As for mortal day-to-day affairs, we are in the process, and I've already begun this process of, how shall we say, training executives who will carry on my brand in the city in my absence, such as my death has left a void. There will be a rebranding there where we will expand our corporate interests under these new executives who will be bound to me. They will be my front-facing public face. I do hate that I have finally had to come around to this corporate structure, but it seems necessary at this point in time to embrace that in more than one way.
Well, the more humans between you and Antigen, the better.
Indeed. And they shall be the public day-to-day leadership. And of course, they will answer to me unquestionably.
They just not everyone in agreement. Well, it seems like you're all on the same page about what needs to be done. And
Mira?
Yeah?
He says, I want to continue to strengthen our coordination uh, um, with Justicar Abigail and our fellow patrons and colleagues in other cities that follow the true path. It is only by strengthening our network that we will be allowed to provide each other protection in the days to come. I fully intend for this to be an international initiative, from London to Budapest and other places in the world that follow our beliefs. If we are to successfully free ourselves from the shackles and chains of newly awakened Methuselahs, those Methuselahs that still think that they run this place, and those ancients that still hide behind the inner council and simply own property as they see fit, and those little upstarts that feel that every city doesn't need a prince. We have no shortage of enemies and no shortage of opposition from all sides, and so I wish to strengthen, secure our lines of communication and resources to each other so that we can continue to grow our gardens in these places into healthy, full bloom in the days to come.
As you say, the gardens, she looks over the balcony, or at least the window, at the very finished construction of the green, very green, and
the greenest part in London.
Greenest part of London, and it's really, really nice because it's become spring.
Yeah.
And well, the building is done, and offices are being filled out.
Excellent. Excellent. Everyone will, of course, partake in the rites that wishes to work here. Not our most secret rites, but rites enough, an entry level initiation, as it were. They may not even realize they're doing it sometimes, but it will be an entry level in the contracts, in particular beverages that they are served, things like that. He's going to turn back to Victor and Darius. Victor, as you are training up your child, and Darius, I am relying on you not only to teach me in the ways of your art, but also to undergo the process, and you shall have whatever you need to finish it, to increase and strengthen our security in our innermost sanctums here, starting with those, and making sure that Paradisa is protected not just from those who live and breathe around us, but from those who don't. I want no future incursions without significant trial and suffering if they ever dare to step foot on this sanctum sanctorum again.
My first idea was, given my age, I could make maybe 3 ghouls to help with this.
Good.
And he looks at Henry. We have made a system that should give us some warning if anything should happen.
Excellent. Wards.
Henry's smiling from ear to ear.
Yes. Wards of the most powerful kind against everything. I want to make sure they're in place. I want to make sure that anything that decides to enter or leave here without my permission, without my express permission, will suffer. I do not want it anymore. There will be no more incursions. This is my sacred shrine. And there's one thing I cannot handle, and that is people threatening it.
Victor says, we would have to tie it to a thing. I think people would have on them to be able to cross the barrier.
Of course.
A thing, perhaps a key card or something a guest would
And layers.
get when they...
Obviously, there will be certain places that people can enter more freely and certain places that they cannot. We will ensure that security is at its highest in the most valued and sacred parts of this inner sanctum.
Victor says,
And
I'll have to redo all the wards with your new specifications, but it's definitely possible.
thank you.
And I'll just
Make sure it's done.
add in the kind as well.
Indeed.
Although it would be a huge breach if they ever cross. So
Of course. But if they cross and it happens that way, we'll take care of it. We'll clean it up. It's better that they suffer if they should transgress these sacred grounds without my express consent. And then he's going to look to Henry and say, you were mentioning surveillance and security, and you said it with quite a smile on your face. Of course, we have magical means for warding our most sacred places, but we live in a world of glorious technology. And
I think we should limit it to the people who understands it. Otherwise,
of course,
it's extremely dangerous. And
indeed, yes. I'm quite aware of the technological capabilities of those arrayed against us.
Everyone who still has a phone has me in their pockets, so I'll know if they fuck up.
Exactly.
And if Ishak does anything, I'll know it.
Fantastic.
Again,
you shall have the resources you need in order to commit the manpower, kindred power, and necessary resources to this cause. I want this to be a fortress of life, rebirth, security, growth. And this is part of the reason why I'm limiting my attention to those domains that I call my own. We are not ready at this time to secure the whole city. We work from Paradisa outwards. And this is why members of the court will remain where they are in the city, will have, at least to their knowledge, a continued existence where they are allowed to pursue their own ends as freely as we might let them, but of course with our added surveillance and knowledge and awareness of what they're doing. I don't wish to stifle the objectives and work of those in my city, except when it threatens my city. And so that should be a simple request for everyone to follow.
I feel like I have to tell you that the spy master is helping out. I don't know why he's suddenly interested in doing so, but the Cother Mithras is making their own moves, but for now it's to our advantage. It seems our goals have aligned somewhat.
I have no idea what Mithras's intentions are or what his mindset is. To think of someone like that who is quite old and quite removed from humanity, quite removed from our normal ways of thinking is an exercise in futility, I think. But if I had to wager a guess, if I had to go ahead and take a stab at it, I would say that he simply wants to keep eyes on things too, in what he might consider to be his domain or kingdom. And we will work with the spy master in a guarded capacity. I think Mithras simply wants the best for his own kingdom anyway. Once it's secured and has traditions that are similar, if not a little bit more elaborate than our own, or quite different. And given that I am making my own traditions, as it were, that are similar but not entirely the same as the Camarillas, I can understand that one prince to another. So we will keep a weather eye on the spy master. We will ensure that the cooperation is such that he has no reason to believe that we are withholding anything from him, and yet we shall. If you have any problems with him, be sure you can always bring him before me, and
It's not
we
an
will
issue.
together convince him of what is possible and what is not.
I mean, we're the same brood, but our political philosophies differ.
Yes, indeed, and that is why he shall remain operational in the city. Again, he shall be tracked. He looks at Henry, he looks at Victor, and he looks at Darius, and his movements shall be known to us, so that when or if Mithras, in his millennia-long plans, decides to wig up or stir or move against us through his cult or himself, we will know it first. That's going to be the rule of London. I will know it first if anything happens.
Speaking of cults, Nero says.
Have you begun sending out invitations for worshippers?
It's not that. I caught a little fish in my net from the Church of Cain trying to get into the city. Not very subtle. He was very low on the ladder, but Church of Cain nonetheless.
Is his vitae watering the tree?
Of course, his ashes are in the soil. But they're making
Let
moves.
that be a warning and a lesson to all who would proselytize oppositional religions and the heresy of Cain in our territory. We are done hiding. As we secure this city, it shall be one for the Dark Mother. It shall be one of her gardens.
Is there more you want to go through in the sea?
I think that's pretty much it. He's embracing the prince role here in many ways. So yeah, that's kind of where I'm going to leave it.
Yeah, that's good. We're gonna jump next to JK. JK, you are you're in the Mithraeum. Below London, you've been there before, but this is the Shadowlands version of it. Roger has opened the door for you and Albert and Vara. It's only the four of you, all from the same family, the same bloodline, in the same room. 4 generations of you. Well, Roger's a few above everyone, but nonetheless, you all descend from him. I believe you have a few things with you. A few bags, a few vials. And Vara, of course, and Albert.
Yeah, everything that I need. Thank you for coming, Camden. It's nice to see you again.
Likewise, dear grandchild.
I have an offer for you. I have a somewhat working antidote to the little disease we've been spreading around.
That's
And
good.
if you want to, you can have it, but in return I want you to teach my childer our Oblivion ways.
He looks at Vara, who looks surprised, but she's learned to keep her mouth shut in the presence of elders. Your child. Interesting.
I was stuck in London by myself, figuring it out for the better part of 70 years. And I assume that you can do better than that in less time.
I could. A trade, perhaps. I have recently, I say recently, a couple of years back, I made a new child with a very specific purpose. And I think if she came here and helped you out, you could achieve great things. She is a bit of a cleaner, supposed to dispose of troublesome wraiths. But
Well,
I'll
she's
take
more
your
than
child.
welcome.
You'll keep an eye on mine.
That sounds like a good trade, yes.
And if you want it, I have made sure that you are removed from the usual Camarilla and you will become a Cappadocian liaison in London,
That works great with the plans I have.
giving you full rights to your domain to do as you see fit for the good of the clan.
I will. I'll make sure that Waltham is a safe haven for us. Same with other strands of Hecata that might come here. Apart from Giovanni, of course.
If others come from other bloodlines, it's important to learn if they're on our side or on their side.
Don't worry, that will be found out quite quickly.
Good. Or at least my goal, when we're done with the Giovanni. Next is the Tremere. And when we have dealt with all the usurpers, the world will be right again. As it should be.
It's not the worst plan out there, that's for sure.
I am grateful to have one such issue in our clan.
Likewise.
We will have our return,
Oh, we will rise.
of course.
And besides, what better spies are there than the undead? They can't really be found, can they?
Or done anything with, unless you're one of us.
True. I mean, the Lasombra can try, but they will never succeed.
Indeed. He walks towards Vara and takes her hand. She looks a bit scared. And he's just measuring her. With his...
Make sure she's allowed to keep her humanity if she so chooses.
Oh, don't worry, child. Humanity is important. I myself have struggled for 1,000 years to keep mine intact. I might not look like it, but I'm not that bad. I still have feelings and people I care about.
Fair enough.
Albert is looking at the whole thing. Looking at you with the most he can express pride. And he's a bit flabbergasted by Roger at the moment, who seems not like a prince, but just like, I don't know, a grandfather. Varus, he says, so I'm supposed to go to the Edinburgh?
Yes. Until you feel like you've learned enough. Then you can come back down south. You'll be safe, don't worry.
I trust you.
And then out of his briefcase, JK pulls a vial that is filled with the little antidote that he managed to scrape out of his house before everything went down in flames. And he hands it over to Roger. Here you go.
He looks at it. There's no light in here, obviously, but and puts it in a pocket.
It should work. Do with it as you see fit.
Well, it's just in case the plague falls into the wrong hands. Well,
Well, it's still good to have some of it sealed away somewhere. I'll have to make a new dose myself.
It's a powerful weapon you created.
Indeed it is.
Oh, before I forget, and you don't forget, or accidentally kill my child because you don't know who it is. Her name is Elspeth McAuley.
I'll make sure she is welcome when she comes.
Very black hair, tattoos all over the place. You can't, miss her.
I'll make sure to keep an eye out.
But she has a temper unusual for her clan. Which is why someone needs to reel her in once in a while.
Well, we have plenty of forces to do that.
Indeed. You're still not considering joining the cult, are you?
Sadly, no.
That is fine. We do not want anyone who does not truly want to be in it.
That said, you will all be welcome once I manage to lock Waltham off from the rest of whatever Alex considers to be his princedom now.
Oh, you're so far north and right next to Lupine Domain, I don't think he'll come here.
He can certainly try.
It would
If he gets too close, the ghosts will have fun.
Yeah, it would create a whole political mess. The prince is too smart for that. I hope.
He can also be very naive. Naive. Don't forget that.
Oh, he's young. Comes
Fair
with
enough.
age.
Besides, when he first tries to start spying, he'll learn soon that it doesn't go the way he wants it to.
I'm glad to hear that you have made so many considerations to your future.
What else is there to do in an endless life?
Well, work. He forces.
Build a future.
Build the future. Albert says, and my place in all this. Do you still need me here, child?
If you want to be.
Of course.
I mean, it'll take some time to start building up. I guess we're gonna require some ghouls and whatever to keep us safe in the daylight, considering my last haven got burned down to crisps.
Well, I'm quite old. I can make a couple.
Just what we need to start off.
I think
The dead will keep the rest going.
it's a good idea to have a couple of corporeal daylight guardians.
Fair enough. They'll keep us safe.
I'll stay here, child. I have no better place to be, and we can continue working together. We've been successful so far in everything we tried to achieve.
That we have.
And I still owe you for getting me out of the Shadowlands.
Don't worry about it. An eye for an eye.
Campton looks around at everyone and says, I'll send my child. Is there anything else you need from me before I depart?
No, there's not. Don't worry, we'll be able to keep Waltham for ourselves.
I count on it. It was good seeing you all.
Likewise.
He just nods and says, for Cappadocian.
For Cappadocian.
And, well, to other people it would look like he is flying through the Shadowlands, but you know the Shadowlands work very weird, and you can take one step and move 10. So he's just traveling very fast, walking to Edinburgh. And you can step out of the rift, which seems to be open constantly in here. It does not bother to close it.
Yeah.
Outside of the rift is Sylvester McWither, the voice of Mithras, is just standing at the door to the Mithraeum, waiting, tapping his foot, looking at a watch.
I'll walk over to him and I'll hand him a letter. That is, well, it's written to Naomi on the front, and on the back it's stamped with a stamp that has a skull and a scythe. Get this to Naomi Townsend as fast as possible.
He looks at you in wonderment and smiles. You're ordering me around. The voice of Mithras.
Considering I just had a conversation with Prince Camden, I assume it's okay.
It's okay, I'm just surprised. He's smiling from ear to ear. He does not look offended. He leaves the room, pushes the door open. I assume you follow with Albert.
Yeah.
Do you want to read the letter out loud?
Sure. Can do. Dear Naomi, thank you for all your efforts to help stop the plague that has been ravaging Waltham Forest. And also thank you for helping me survive the petty social games of the Camarilla. Waltham Forest will no longer obey to the rules of Alex Cairo. He can try to push his forces onto my land, but believe me, the dead won't let anyone get far. It is now a haven for the Clan of Death. Giovanni exempt, of course. You and Vaughn will always be welcome amongst the dead, for flowers cannot bloom without good fertilizer. Wish you all the best. Johan Korbe.
Is there more you want to do in your final scene?
No, I think I'm fine with that.
Good. Vaughn! You're driving around in London, turning a corner. Well, Benjamin is driving at the moment in a very fast sports car. I don't know the brand, I'm not a car guy, but something without a roof and a powerful engine. He stops a few hundred meters away from the Paradisa and looks at you, smiling from ear to ear with a kind of a grin. The kind of grin you both get when you're about to do something incredibly dangerous and stupid. And just says, "Are you ready?"
I'm always ready, baby. Let's do this.
Showtime.
One quick point of order. Was this before or after the briefing that Alex did?
This is before.
Before? Okay. So Vaughn just takes a drink of a small vial that has a little bit of writing on it. You can't see what it is. Gets out of the car. And then he's gone. Change scene. Alex Cairo standing like Morpheus, looking out over a balcony up in Paradiso, you know, with his hands behind his back, you know, looking out. And I imagine that Mira is nearby.
Well, she's coming out of the room and looking at you, and she's just, "Didn't you just leave?"
Alex does not turn around. And he says, "Mira, am I an effective leader?"
Of course. You know I believe in you.
But am I? Would you say I'm worthy of this position?
Of course, you were chosen by Lilith herself. Why? What's gotten into you?
They say that greatness is thrust upon us. But I grabbed and I toiled. He clenches his fist, the light from the moonlight coming in. I took what I have now. Still not facing her. I toiled. Greatness was not thrust upon me. I took it in my hand. And I drink from the goblet. It is Lilith's blessing. But still I feel unworthy.
You seized opportunity. Why are you having these questions? Did you have a vision?
these times of late have, now that victory has been achieved over Antigen, I look around my domain. I think what it means to be a prince. And I know that I am expected to do and abide by the responsibilities of this position, which means I have to listen to people and follow out their requests to the letter. But it is taxing on my patience. And he stays quiet for a second, just looking out the window. I imagine maybe there's a little bit of lightning in the background, flashes on his face. Our esteemed necromancer is requesting funds for his new necromantic workshop. He's going to need about 5 million. 5 million that he did not work for, but yet he requests it on our behalf. I'd like you to acquire these funds for me as soon as possible and deliver to my hand.
Your safe is right in there. I don't know what's gotten into. She's just walking to another room. You can hear something opening like a cabinet door, or well, it's really a painting. And she comes back with a briefcase, a very large briefcase, and just puts it down on the couch. Like, this is pocket money. You just have this lying around.
And he just goes like this, like bringing it over.
She's still confused. Sits it on the ground on the balcony.
And he picks it up in his hand. He's like, when it comes to what I have worked for, I intend to look him in the eye when I give it to him. And then that moment, Alex, taking the briefcase full of money off of the ground, holding $5 million, he makes eye contact with Nira. And his eyes flash a serpent's color.
She goes completely stiff.
And he just goes over to her, gives her a little peck on the cheek, and his voice completely changes. I always thought you were really hot. Just wanted you to know that. And then falls back over the balcony and disappears over the balcony. And the moment he breaks eye contact, her effect is over.
Well,
and when she looks over, yeah.
She looks over and she's just shaking her head when she realizes it's you.
And down below, Benjamin with the convertible top open. Here's like the weight shift in the car as Vaughn lands perfectly in the passenger seat of the convertible, the Thunderbird convertible. And then Vaughn apparates, holds open the money, and it's all, I imagine, it's just like dollar bills and stuff like that. I mean, not, like
£5 million.
£5 million.
Well, he slams on the speeder and starts driving north. No owl is following you, nor sheriff or anything of the sort.
And Vaughn puts his legs up and puts the money in between them and just says, I think it's fine. It's time for a bit of a family reunion, don't you?
Well, I had one stop in mind if you want to do something incredibly stupid and dangerous.
Of course.
I located Nadine and her new friends.
Ooh.
They're in Scotland, very far north. Fancy a long drive?
You know me. I always love a good ride.
Crashing a werewolf party?
Hell yeah. And I imagine as they're going along the highway, let's say they go across like a bridge or something like that, and all you see is you guys remember Fantasia, like 2000, with the humpback whales that are like floating?
Mm.
And they like literally swimming through the air. They're like going alongside the car, and You Make My Dreams Come True by Hall & Oates play as they're going over and under and over the car and stuff like that.
It was a beautiful scene. super Masquerade breachy, but whatever.
No one can record it though. They can't prove anything.
No, they can't. They're all just high on LSD. Is there anything else you want to do for your final scene? When you drive into, well, it's not the sunset, that would kill you, but...
I'll just say one more thing. And some of Vaughn's busking friends that he used to play with a lot back in the day, they're like back to the first episode and everything, they get a little note saying to check their lockbox, and then they open up their lockboxes, each one of them, and there's like 50,000 pounds for each one of them, and they don't know where it came from.
There's like 50,000 days of work.
Mm-hmm. Precisely. And that's it.
That's it. That's a good send-off of Vaughn going to the very, very furthest reaches of Norway to attend a Ravnos meeting. It's a few months away though, but a lot can happen on the way.
Wild parties all the way. that money is eaten up, not completely, but pretty substantially by the time it reaches up there.
The years flew by. The coterie and the events surrounding them would be whispered about among other kindred in London. Prince Kairos continued his rule in London, but withdrew to his fortress, pulling the strings from the shadows and sending his council members when any action had to be taken. Vaughn disappeared, never to be heard from again. Some says he'll return one day. Some say he's still residing in London, and whenever you see something that can't be true, it's one of Vaughn's legendary illusions. JK continued his work, became Hecata representative of London, working closely with Roger Albert and Elspeth. Vara would speak on JK's behalf, as he was always too busy for visitors. Naomi would only be heard in whispers. Some say she hangs out in the royal gardens at night, depressed that she lost her warlock. Something happened, and only they know what happened. Cradle became the Malkavian Primogen by default, although he refused the title. Unbeknownst to everyone, he would continue his plans subtly and slowly to avoid detection, moving his pieces with an antigen, so perhaps one day he could get rid of all the bathtub shitters. I would like to thank the audience and everyone who made it this far. It's been so fun, and we are doing the Anarch story after about a month's break. Something new, something exciting.